All right, so today we're going to dive into a framework for something pretty fundamental. It's all about moving beyond just, existing and stepping into a life of real conscious growth, a life of genuine inner awakening. So let's start that journey. So let me ask you a quick question. Do you ever feel like you're just stuck on autopilot? Going through the motions of your daily routine, but feeling kind of limited by it all? Well, if that sounds familiar, that feeling right there, that's the exact starting point for this whole path of awareness we're about to walk down. And look, this is not about piling more stuff onto your to-do list. Not at all. It's really about a big shift in how you see things. It's about looking at your life less like a checklist of tasks and more like a real journey, a journey of awakening. The whole goal is to consciously switch off that autopilot and step into what you could call true awareness. When you boil it all down, this path really just shines a light on a choice that, well, we all have. We can basically exist in one of two ways. We can live reactively, just getting pulled along by our habits and routines, or we can make a conscious choice to rise above all that and start living with real clarity and intention. Yeah, this really lays it out perfectly, doesn't it? On one side, you've got the confines of routine. That's where you get that feeling of being limited, living on autopilot, feeling disconnected from everything. But then, look at the other side. That's the freedom of awareness. We're talking about conscious growth, living intentionally, and feeling deeply connected. It's a huge contrast. Okay, so if this is a journey, you're probably asking, where are we going? What's the destination? And what's so interesting is that it's not about trying to become some totally new person. The way this is framed, it's more like a journey back to yourself, back to who you've always been. This quote really gets to the heart of it all. The aim is to reconnect you with your true self. Just let that sink in for a second. What that's really saying is that the person you want to be, you don't have to build them from scratch. They're already in there, just kind of buried under all the noise and chaos of daily life, waiting to be rediscovered. But what does true self even mean in this context, right? It sounds a little out there, but it's not some abstract concept. It's a very real, tangible state of being. It's what it feels like to have mental clarity, to have emotional balance, and to have this deep sense of purpose that kind of guides you. Okay, this all sounds pretty inspiring for sure, but the big question is, how do you actually do it? How do you navigate this path? You can't just wish for it. You need practical tools, right? Like a map and a compass for your own inner world. So this is where we're going to shift gears from the what to the how. The whole framework is built on three really powerful pillars. First, we've got psychology, which helps us understand how our own minds work. Then there's philosophy, which lets us wrestle with those big questions, about meaning and what's really important. And finally, we pull from human development, which kind of gives us a roadmap for our own incredible potential to grow. And I really want to stress this point. We're not talking about dusty old textbooks here. This isn't about getting a degree. The core idea is that these subjects are like treasure chests, filled with practical tools. We're talking about real insights and techniques that you can actually use to challenge your thinking, feed your soul, and totally transform your day-to-day life. So where does all this lead? You put in the work, you engage with these tools. What happens? Well, you start to live a different kind of life, a wiser life. And this transformation, it's not random. It follows a pretty clear progression. It starts with step one. You use the tools to think deeper. And once you have that deeper understanding, it naturally leads to step two. You start to live wiser. You just make better, more conscious choices. And when you're living wiser, the outcome, the final step, is that you grow freely. You start to break free from all those old things that held you back. But here's maybe the most important takeaway of this whole thing. This isn't an endpoint. It's not a finish line you cross or some certificate you get in the mail. It's a completely different way of living your life. It's about embracing a new way of being, one that's all about continuous, lifelong growth. So there you have it. We've kind of walked through the whole map, right? From snapping out of that daily routine all the way to reconnecting with your true self. The path is laid out, but the journey, well, that's all yours. And that really brings us to the final and honestly the most important question of all. Your path of awareness. It begins right now. So what's your first step?